Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Peter Murphy begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Authorities are ramping up their efforts to ensure Tasmanians understand the state's tough new restrictions and, most importantly, that they are complying with them. Last night, police were confronted with a disturbing incident relating to coronavirus, which saw a Rochely man charged. For more, we're joined by our reporter Letitia Wallace at the Launceston Police Station. Good evening, Letitia. Police are not taking this lightly.
Yes, Pete, police have labelled this man's behaviour as disgraceful. Officers intercepted a car in Rochely last night where a man allegedly claimed he had coronavirus while being arrested. He's been charged with a range of offences, including failing to comply with a direction from Public Health after not staying at home. And this is how police are enforcing their latest measures. Police patrolling usually busy areas in Launceston today, making sure people understand the new laws.
We'll approach this with a common sense manner, but we must implore people to understand they're doing it for the good of their community.
Also enlisting the help of the State Emergency Service, and from tomorrow the Australian Defence Force will also come to the state's aid.
In doing so, they've been integral in actually doing our compliance checks, and the feedback from the public, where the SES members and the Tasmanian Fire Service, and no doubt when the Defence Force start tomorrow, will be positive.
Police say it's early days, but most people are doing the right thing. So far, more than 2,300 checks have been conducted. The new restrictions, which came into effect midnight on Monday, means Tasmanians can only leave their house if they're shopping for essential supplies, providing social support or care to another person, attending medical appointments, undertaking exercise or attending school or work, while no more than 2 people can gather together in public spaces.
Tasmanians should not be surprised if they are stopped by a police officer and asked where they're off to and what they're doing.
The Australian Lawyers Alliance says it's not against the latest measures, but does have few concerns.
The problem is the government has been making laws by press release, and this is not the normal way you do law making. The other issue is that they've closed down the Parliament, so there's no scrutiny of these laws. So we need to make certain that these laws are fundamentally clear, so that everybody understands it.
The Alliance is also calling for fines to be used as a last resort.
We don't have the ability to do on-spot fines, so the proceedings will be by summons or by arrest in really severe cases of blatant breaches.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
Now, for the first time in almost 2 weeks, no new coronavirus cases have been reported overnight. It comes as new measures are put in place across our state's healthcare system to protect staff and patients.
Tasmania's testing facilities have sorted through more than 2,000 samples looking for signs of coronavirus. But out of the more than 200 tests they completed yesterday, there was a good result.
Yesterday was the first day in almost 2 weeks that we did not record a positive case. That is good news.
The state's total number of diagnosed cases remaining at 69. 5 of the people are currently in hospital, while 53 are recovering in self-isolation. 11 have recovered fully. But of the 2 cases in Devonport, their source remains unknown, with community transmission still not ruled out.
We've not identified a likely source of infection for either case or a link between the 2 cases, but we are continuing to investigate where and when these people were in particular places and whether known or unknown cases could have been in contact with them.
The news coming as our hospital system puts into place new measures to limit potential spread of infection. Both the Royal Hobart and Launceston General Hospitals limiting visitor hours and numbers as part of escalation plans.
We're looking at wards, and so in terms of escalation, some of that is around visitation, and so each of the hospitals, based on their circumstances, will make decisions to ensure that there's a safety of patients but also staff.
The Mersey Community Hospital's emergency department now operating under reduced hours. As of tomorrow, it will be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. because it can't separate people presenting with coronavirus symptoms.
That configuration has been able to occur at the Royal, at the LGH and at the North West Regional. The configuration of the Mersey Community Hospital does not allow for that model.
When it's closed, patients will be redirected to the North West Regional Hospital in Burnie.
It's just not possible in the current time to run every service out of every location as we previously would have. We think the community understands this because no service or system is running as it was previously.
But as our health workers prepare their coronavirus response, more reports of their personal protective equipment going missing from hospitals.
Stealing equipment from hospitals at any point in time is just appalling, particularly at times like this.
PPE theft is nothing short of reprehensible. I think everyone in the community understands the importance of PPE.
Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
Schools across Tasmania are reporting massive declines in attendance after the government asked parents to keep their children home if they could. Less than 10% of students are now turning up in person, and there are some tips for families schooling at home.
Hard at work studying in a different kind of classroom. These students learning from home under the watchful eye of their parents as schools shift their curriculums off campus.
We're just taking it like everyone else day by day, and we're adapting and tweaking things as we go. They're really grateful for what the school's done so quickly and actually being able to provide a sense of normality.
While schools remain open this week, the government asked parents to keep their children home if they can. Families heeding the message, leading to only 10% attendance on Monday and 9.5% yesterday.
Today we had 41 out of 300, we've got 395 in total, so it's been a slow decline. It's been going down about 1 or 2% a day. Initially the drop-off was fairly low, but this week it's been pretty major.
But this isn't a school holiday.
There have been reports of children at shopping centres, in groups. This is not on. This is not an opportunity to set this generation back by not providing them with an education.
Parents and carers now reminded to supervise their children at all times, as well as their learning.
Learning at home is way different to learning at school. You can't you've got to have a routine, that's really strong and really important, but you've also got to have a different sort of idea about what that looks like and what it means in the home.
We try and encourage them as much as possible to just manage the screen time, so to have regular breaks and just try and live a balanced kind of a lifestyle.
Crime Stoppers say supervision is also important to protect children online.
Often a predator will talk a kid into staying secret and keeping the contact secret from their parents. So certainly parents need to be really vigilant that they need to be under constant supervision.
Rebecca Main, 7 Tasmania News.
To the day's other news now, and 2 people have been seriously injured in a crash at Sandford. Crews were called to the 2-vehicle collision at around 4 o'clock this afternoon. The crash happened at the intersection of Clifton Beach Road and the South Arm Highway. The road remains closed as police investigate the incident. A 32-year-old woman who was hit by a car on Monday remains in a critical but stable condition in hospital. The woman sustained significant head injuries when she was struck by a station wagon on High Street in East Launceston. She was taken to the LGH before being airlifted to Hobart. The St Vincent de Paul Society has joined a long list of organisations and retailers closing their doors in the wake of the pandemic. The Tasmanian branch has decided to shut all of its minis op shops until at least April 28, except for the Queenstown store, which will continue to provide assistance.
If they can help us by not leaving donations at the door, that would be fantastic. However, what we encourage people to do, if they could actually make a cash donation to us, because it's going to assist us tremendously.
Staff are currently taking annual leave or being redirected to other parts of the organisation. Emergency relief centres across the state will remain open to provide support and food delivery services. It took 4 people and a half a day, but a Tasmanian family has used their free time to colour the inside and outside of their house from top to bottom. The Kings Meadows property is now a favourite in the street, and until the pandemic is over, the design is here to stay.
There's no doubt this is the brightest house on Malunga Street, the final product of 6 hours of work and 6 buckets of chalk.
We love it and we wanted to make people happy.
Fed up with schoolwork and suffering from cabin fever, these 3 princesses and their mum set about giving the Kelly Castle a vivid makeover.
We decided one wall first, which was just the side wall, but then we just kept going and kind of didn't end.
Hundreds of bricks coloured in one by one. Reaching those close to the roof was the biggest challenge for small arms.
And we ended up getting a broom, popping the chalk on the broom and doing up high.
As with any artist, patience and persistence was tested, but the trio found an extra dose of determination.
Mum did bribe us with mint chocolate if we did it all.
The future of the artwork now lies in the hands of the weather gods. Saving rain, it's here permanently.
Probably 100 years. Probably a long time.
The Kelly clan chalking up a new tip for how the public should be reacting in this tough time.
Happy and forgetting a lot of sad stuff that's happened.
A message as loud as the masterpiece itself. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Horse racing is currently underway in Launceston tonight after Tas Racing was granted an exemption from the coronavirus restrictions. It means all meets until Tuesday are allowed to proceed before an application extension will need to be submitted. Thoroughbreds and harness fields are limited to 10 per race, while greyhound handlers will be required to load their animals 2 metres between each other. The state's industry body says it's doing everything it can to keep racing continuing. Despite taking a hit from the virus, Hockey Tasmania says its bottom line is still in the black. After reviewing the code's current financial position, the board determined it could continue trading. It's made a number of cost-cutting measures and will seek state government funding to keep the game afloat. Hockey Tasmania says it's still committed to running this year's competitions statewide when and if it's safe to do so.
Good evening. A high of 21 at Launceston today and 19 across Hobart, Burnie and Devonport. 22 was the state's top at Friendly Beaches and Campania, 19 about Smithton and Grove, Flinders Island 20. On the close-up, cloudy conditions over Tasmania. Further out, high-level cloud covers the mainland while low cloud sits over eastern New South Wales. Tomorrow, a cold front moves into the Bight and tracks towards Tasmania while multiple surface troughs and lows sit over the mainland. East to northeasterly winds tomorrow 10 to 20 knots, swells up to 3 metres in the west and south and around 1 metre in the north. A severe weather warning is current for heavy rainfall along the east coast of Tasmania. A strong wind warning for eastern coastal waters from the northern tip of Flinders Island to southeast Cape, and a flood watch for northeastern and east coast river basins. Tomorrow's forecast now, rain developing about Hobart and Cygnet, New Norfolk 19. In the north, rain across Launceston and Campbelltown 18 at Devonport. Burnie tomorrow 18, rain and 19 across Strawn and Smithton. St Helens and Swansea expecting rain and 19 and 18 at Fingal. The UV forecast moderate statewide. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast, Friday showers clearing from the southeast during the morning. Saturday showers easing about the southeast during the afternoon, and Sunday showers easing from the northeast in the afternoon. Capital cities expecting possible showers in Perth tomorrow, Alice Springs 35 and Melbourne showers getting to a high of 21. And currently Hobart and Launceston 17 and mostly cloudy at Devonport 16. That's all for weather tonight, Murph.
Thanks very much for that, Jackie. Just before we go tonight, the Director of Public Health here in Tasmania has just released a further 2 cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed. Now that brings the state's total to 71 cases to date. Both the new patients are males who recently arrived in the state from overseas. Now these men were already in quarantine and have since tested positive. That's all our news for now. We'll have a broader picture of the national situation with Michael Usher and Melissa Doyle coming up with the latest. I'll be back later too with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.